Hello, speech students. Mr. Miller here. I hope you've been well. Coming up on Monday, we'll get started back in school, sort of, kind of. I was told several times to keep it simple, and so that's what I've tried to do. You'll be giving 4 speeches, and that's it. And the content of those speeches is the content that we've already covered. So there's really nothing new in the content. Uh, so you're reviewing the content while trying to further develop your speaking skills. So the first 2 speeches, if you look on the outline that I put on Google Classroom, you have 3 options for the first 2. So one of these 3 you're not going to give a speech on. Your first option is iMessages. Your second option is the 6 conversation mistakes. And the third one is an outline for a speech. And so what I need to do is to describe what it is that I want you to have in each one of those. And then the plan is that you watch this on Monday or before if you want to, doesn't really matter. But watch it and write down any questions you have, and then we'll do a video conference on Monday at, 3S will do their video conference at 11:10, and then the 3B will do their conference at 12:35. And that'll be on Zoom, and I'll send out the invite. And we'll do that on Monday, and then hopefully you can ask questions then and get clarified and get started. And they're really pretty simple. I mean, I'm introducing nothing really new here. So anyway, so let's talk about what I'm looking for in the content of these 3. First of all, the iMessage. Now, in each one of these speeches, you got to make sure you have some sort of attention grabber. And I want you to move beyond a simple question, rhetorical question. Don't just say, how many of you know what an iMessage is? Well, today I'll tell you. Don't do that. Have a story, have a quotation. You can Google plenty of quotations. But have something a little bit more than just a rhetorical question. Stories are good. We've been working with stories before spring break. And then make sure you have the thesis. Today I'm going to talk about what an iMessage is. And then you have a preview. First I'll talk about the first part where you describe the problem. Next, I'll talk about how it affects you as a listener. And number 3, the desired effect. And then make sure the next part is to make sure you say why the audience should listen. Hopefully after listening today, you'll have a better understanding of what iMessages are. And hopefully you'll use them. And then you have that transition where you go into first, let's look at the first part of an iMessage, which is the describing the problem. So you have a transition and then a topic sentence. Okay, it's a topic sentence, not a topic word. Some of you are saying, first of all, describe the problem. Well, that's not, first of all, describe the problem. That's not a sentence. It's supposed to be a sentence, not a word, or 2 words. Describe the problem. Don't do that. First of all, let's look at the first part of an iMessage, describing the problem, which is describing the problem, something like that. It's a speech. You need to talk more than just little sound bites. And then you give an example. Okay, so you would example of what it is, what one is, give an example of one. Okay, and then you'd say, now that I've given you an example of describing a problem, let's look at the next section, which is telling the person you're talking to how it affects you. and it affects you in two ways. Number one, how it makes you feel, and here's a statement for that. And number two, what it causes you to do. Here's an example for that. And then you transition into the third. Okay. Third of all, let's look at what you should do to end your iMessage. You should describe the desired effect. Okay. And then you give an example of that. And then you have another transition into the conclusion. In conclusion, today I in conclusion, today I talked about iMessages, and I talked about the different parts of iMessage. I talked about describing the problem, how it affects you, and describing the desired effect. And then you end with the summary of the attention grabber. So you have the attention grabber, maybe you have a story about little Susie and Johnny, and then at the end you'd say, remember little Susie and Johnny? Well, once they started doing iMessages, everything got better, hey, or whatever. Okay, and so your attention grabber and your strong ending match. Got it? So that's the content. And if you remember, as far as the delivery goes, you're going to want to walk, okay, in that, first home plate, first base, third base, pitching rubber, second base. And hand gestures. You really need to work on hand gestures, and then the vocal variety, rate, tone, that sort of thing. So that's kind of the instructional video of the first one. Now, keep in mind, you can also do 6 conversation mistakes. If you do that, you need all the elements that I described in the first one, except out of the 6, you only need to describe 3. And so that possibly might be a question that some of you have that we'll have to talk about in the Zoom is, okay, what are those 6? I kind of forget. Well, we can review that on the Zoom communication on Monday. And your third option is the outline of the speech, in which first, let's look at what you should have in introduction. And then you go, next, now that I've talked about introductions, let's look at what you should have in a body. And you describe what's in a body. And then you go to, finally, let's describe, I'll tell you the parts of a good conclusion in a speech. Let me say that. Okay. I'll try to type up something here when I get off this video and put it on Google Classroom and outline basic speech. It has those parts, so if you want it written out, you can have that too. But basically, I try to explain it in these little videos, and the nice thing about having it on a video like this is that you can go back and re-watch this and watch it again and listen to it again if you didn't quite catch it the first time. If I did my explanation on Zoom, then you wouldn't be able to do that. So that's why I'm using these videos, is that you can watch it on Saturday and go, and then, go, mow grass or something, and you come back on Monday and watch it again, and then after watching it a couple times, you still got a question or something, you can ask me in the Zoom conference, and then hopefully everything's clarified and you can get about your work and get after it. So, okay, well, take care. We'll do the best we can. See ya.